We on? We're live?
Yeah.
Good morning. Thanks for watching, showing up, streaming the SilviaFindings Wednesday morning live stream that we do every week at 10:30 Pacific time. Um, Somebody was asking me why, if we're doing these kind of things live stream, what do we do on it? Why do we do it? So I know you probably heard it before if you've tuned in other times, but uh, just going to talk about why we're doing these live streams. Obviously, lots and lots more people are starting to come online to do these kind of things to bring the business to their customers. We used to do a lot of shows. 24, 25 shows a year, something like that, practically every other weekend, at least. Some months obviously busier than others. Um, so it was great. We could always see our customers, in the Greater Vancouver area, the Lower Mainland, further, flung all the way to, Alberta, and we did some shows in Ontario and Quebec. No, not Quebec. Ontario. We did some bunch of shows in Ontario. I guess far east as Ottawa. I think was the furthest east we
Ottawa,
got.
London. Yeah.
Ottawa and London. Hopefully, when this all starts up again, um, you know, promoters will be looking for companies that are still in business, and hopefully we'll be one of them, and maybe we can get into some of those shows further east in Montreal, and who knows. But we can always see customers get kind of our finger on the pulse of what they're looking for, what they're enjoying, you know how they're using the products, and that's great because we can always, being connected to your customer base is one of the most important things about running a business, especially one that you know it's kind of a niche business. Let's be frank. We're not selling loaves of bread that everybody needs. We're selling something that a very small, sliver of the population uses. So it's kind of important to keep in touch with those people and uh, like that. So that's what we're doing. We're basically trying to recreate some of the contact that we had at shows, albeit digitally over things. Everything is this way now, right? Um, if you are working from home and you're having staff meetings, you're probably doing it over Zoom or something like this, or streaming. So it's a new world. Marvel and I were just talking the other day, and he said, you know, the old ways of doing business are not going to come back. Really, things are different. Things are going to change, and I kind of have to agree with that. So that's why we're doing these things, so we can, keep in contact with you, answer questions. Uh, Although you can always email or call us on the phone. Phones still work. Nobody uses their cell phones to actually speak to each other on their phones, even though that's kind of the primary reason they were invented in the first place. Although probably not now. That's a conversation for another another time. Um, if you share this live stream with your friends or anybody, really, I think we'll get a notification. We'll know, and we'll send you one of these polishing cloths. Right, these beautiful silver polishing cloths. These are great, and I talk about them every month because this is something that every jeweler needs to have. I'm sure most of you guys have these. These polishing cloths are, just a chamois material infused with a chemical that helps unbind the copper and the oxygen that forms on the surface of metal, especially on sterling silver or gold that's not 18 karat or higher. 18 karat is less, tarnishing, but it still does oxidize. Um, it's the copper in there, right? So yellow gold, if it's 18 karat gold, that means 18 parts gold, 6 parts something else, because it's a ratio of 24, right? 24 karat means pure gold. 18, again, where am I going off on this tangent? Not important. Sterling silver, 92.5% silver. The other 7.5% is usually copper. And pure silver, what they call fine silver, 999 silver. If you've ever worked with it, you've ever played with it, you ever wore it, you notice that it doesn't oxidize as quickly. It's a lot more malleable, so it tends to dent and scratch a lot easier than sterling does. Sterling is an alloy of 92.5% silver, 7.5% copper. The copper loves oxygen a lot more than silver does, so that's why sterling tarnishes more than copper does. And it's important to have those polishing cloths because that just unbinds that, gets to the surface, and removes the copper dioxide off that. So just backing up, just want to reiterate, please share and like or whatever you're doing with these things. If you have any questions or comments along the way, please go ahead and enter the chat and ask away. I do have one question that came in over Etsy that I wanted to address here because it segues nicely into something that I try to talk about every session. Somebody was asking, there was a pendant that they really liked the design of, and I think the setting was built for like a 12 by 14 stone oval, or 12 by something like that, 12 by 15. But their stone was much bigger, like 16 by 20 or something like that. And she wanted to know, A, if it would fit in the setting, which it would not. But B, if not, could we make one that did fit? And the answer, if the question is, can we make, the answer is almost always, yeah, of course. We own the factory, we can do whatever we want. Custom work is something that we do a lot of. So, and we do it, and I'm going to say this perfectly honestly, not because I'm trying to sell you stuff, although I guess I am kind of, but the reality is we do it cheaper than anywhere else you'll find. Thing from the custom design service, you can have drawings as crude as pencil drawings that look like they were done by somebody in a Charlie Brown cartoon. The designers can extrapolate from that as long as you're pretty clear on the concept that you want, and they have a good starting point. They can go from there, or the easiest way, obviously, like this gal, if you have a pendant that we already have, then it's very easy to recreate that pendant with different stone dimensions. Or easier, I guess. The labor is all the same because we still have to recreate the digital files that make the 3D version that we would eventually email to you and say, is this okay? Do you like this? How does this work? Is that all right? Do you want any changes to it? And then once it's approved, then we go ahead and print a 3D version of it in resin and then use that for casting. So custom, please keep that in the back of your mind. You're not limited by, and this is important, for anybody, obviously, who's buying stones, but more for lapidaries who are cutting their own stones. Because when you're cutting your own stones, you might start out with a template for the basic shape, if you're doing a pear or an oval or whatever, and the dimensions may be, fine, but the width of the thickness of the Sharpie that you drew on the stone, and then as you're cutting it and you're polishing it and filing the edges, or sanding, or working on the lapidary wheel, I don't know what you call it, the technical term for it. I've done it. It's not hard to do, but it's hard to do well, I've discovered. You may not end up with the actual size and dimension that you started with, that you think. So, it's important to be able to get customizable things. Although most of our stuff, we have pendants, especially pendants, and rings, in almost every calibrated shape. And I use the word calibrated in quotations because, to me, calibrated means that the X dimension and the Y dimension are, normal, not like 13.7 millimeters by 22.9. That's a really big long oval. That's not a usual thing, but we can make something with that. We can work with it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. As far as shipping, I always do this in every live stream, and I'm not. Today's no different. I'm going to talk a little bit about the state of shipping and how it's going. It seems like Canada, we're getting that backlog um, unbacklogged, unlogged. It's actually getting a little bit better. We were looking at things like 2 weeks shipping from here to say Ontario back east, and now it's more like 7 to 10 days. So it's still longer than it should be, but it's not as bad as it was in the height of the pandemic. Into the States, it was always awesome, even when it was really terrible down there. I guess it's still really terrible pandemic wise down there. Um, but U.S. Postal Service was, awesome, typically, because they've always been really good. Um, you know, they ship everywhere to every little corner of the country. There's nowhere that they can't go. If you live in a rural area and you ship by UPS or FedEx, it's probably not a UPS or a FedEx truck that's going to bring it to you at the last thing. They always, count on the US. They'll bring it to the post office that's closest to you, and then a US Postal Service truck will bring that to you. So the idea of sabotaging the US Postal Service is just crazy to me, but I'm not going to get into that. There's neither here nor there, but slowdowns are happening into the States, and I've noticed this with a lot of our Etsy orders where we ship one or two things. The packages are small. We have a reshipping agent company. They're all across Canada, but we have a branch here in Richmond. And the service, what they do is we print U.S. Postal Service labels here. We stick it to the box. We pay U.S. Postal Service, postage. We bring it to them. They truck it across the border, and then they, once they get to from here, they bring it to Blaine, Washington, and then it goes into into the postal service there, and then it goes to wherever. So it's almost like there's a day delay, but it's almost as if we're shipping, dropping directly into a U.S. Postal Service mailbox in Blaine. I want to make a joke about how there are fewer and fewer of those these days, but I'm not going to do it. I said I'm not going to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Uh, uh, and that actually, works out great. It's a great service for us, and shipments that are under, and I can never remember, it's either $700 or $800 US. The shipping to the States will be duty free. You don't have to pay duty on them. More than that, you'll end up paying, duty. You can always be sure of the shipping, being brought down to 2 or 3 days at the most. If you ship with a premium service like DHL that we have, beware though when you ship with DHL, they have to, even if it's under $700, they have to clear it through customs. The U.S. Postal Service doesn't. So they just handle the boxes as though they were shipped within domestically. But DHL have to clear the things through customs, so there's paperwork involved. You're not going to have to pay duty or taxes or anything until your orders are $800 or more. But they are going to charge you a brokerage fee. Normally it's like $12 or $15. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So just beware of that. No surprises. Don't want any surprises. I think that's about it for the housekeeping, what I call housekeeping. I want to talk today about Pearl settings, Pearl findings, Pearl things. And when I say Pearl, the basic premise is this. Let me just go down here and, something like that, right? It's a lovely pendant. It's got a post. I don't know if you can see that in the middle. It's trying to focus. Maybe I should have got one that was a little bit easier to see. I don't know if that's easier to see. But, a pendant with a post in the middle, or a post somewhere on it. And the basic premise is, it's pretty simple. You get pearls that are what they call half drilled, that have a hole drilled, halfway through it. So there's only one hole, doesn't go all the way through, like a bead. And most of the pearls that you see in jewelry and rings and stuff like that are made like that. They're half drilled. Um, and you just glue the pearls directly to the post, and that's it. That's all there is to it. When you're gluing pearls to the post, you can buy a product called pearl cement, which I guess works pretty good. I personally am partial to a good two-part epoxy. Um, the kind that you can get a couple different kinds. Like there's one, I guess the most famous one is Bondo, where it mixes up, but it's gray and ugly. It's super strong, but it's really you don't want to use that for jewelry. There are brands out there that dry clear, and I don't have one to show you, but it's just a good two-part epoxy that dries clear. You mix up a little bit, about the same amount of each. You normally put like a little dab of each next to each other, then mix it up, and you've got 6 or 8 minutes that you can still work with it before it begins to get really dry and tacky. Just get the glue on the post. Sometimes the posts have little threads like screws that you can put the pearl on and screw the thing down. You always want to try it first to see how far down, because most of the times the posts are going to be um, longer than halfway point of the size of pearl that you would want to put in the setting, if that makes sense. So if the setting is designed for, say, a 12 millimeter pearl, most of the time the post is going to be a little bit longer than 6 millimeters, which is about halfway. Which if your pearl is drilled exactly halfway, it'll go onto the post, but it may not go all the way down into the setting the way it should be. So just, you're always going to double check to make sure that you can just snip a little bit off, a half millimeter or something off the end of the post to make sure that the post, uh, the pearl goes all the way down onto the post and fits all the way down into the setting. Um, but really, that's the only important thing. Sometimes you may need to, depending on who drilled the hole, the half hole. Sometimes you may need to ream that out to make it a little bit bigger, but not usually. Most of the time, when they're drilling those half holes in them, it's understood what you're using it for, so it's like they're not making it smaller than you would need for a good sturdy post. And a good sturdy post is, probably you know, zero point 0.6, zero point 0.8 millimeters, so like 22 gauge, 20 gauge, probably 20 gauge is a good size post. So they would use a drill bit. That's that. Oh, and one thing, if you're tempted to try to drill pearls yourself, um, don't. Unless you have the right tools. There's a tool that you can buy. If you have a flex shaft, that kind of a thing. I have seen there's a really great tool you can buy, and they're not expensive. I think I saw it like $60 or something. It's almost like a drill press, a drill press, mechanical drill press that has a handle that you pull down, and as you're pulling the handle, the drill press goes down into, whatever. Um, it's you can set up your flex shaft inside this tool that holds it perfectly, level. There's kind of like a mini vise in the bottom of it that you can hold the pearl in or the stone in if doing stones. I'm just going to back up a minute. Uh, so as you're drilling straight through, the drill bit goes exactly straight through the stone or the pearl, and then straight back out. If you try to do it, by hand, holding onto it, no matter how securely you are, it's really difficult. Even the movement that your hand makes from your heartbeat is enough for the drill bit to get off perpendicular, and the stone will just explode or crack or break. Or same thing with the pearl. Usually the nacre cracks off the surface of it, kind of thing. So beware if you're tempted to try to half drill your own stones or pearls. Bring it to somebody who knows what they're doing. It'll cost you a little bit, but probably won't cost you as much as it would be to replace the thing that you're going to break. Um, like I was saying before, all of these things, we call these pearl settings, but I've seen lots of people use stones in here. They've got a beautiful moonstone sphere that, half drilled, thing put on there. I've seen amethyst. I've seen some faceted round stones that are half drilled. That have been, it's just gorgeous. But we mostly call these pearls. So I'm gonna talk about these uh, um, basically under the auspices of pearl settings. But you know, once you buy it, you can use it for whatever you want. I don't care. Oh, we have a customer who uses some of these things. She snips the post right off, and then she fills the cavity like this. And this is the one I picked to show you. She cuts the post right off and fills the cavity with resin, and um, her company sells breast milk jewelry. People send her little vials of breast milk, and then she mixes it in this resin and makes rings. She makes cabochons with them. But she'll fill anything, with resin, sort of thing. And she's done one like that, which I thought was very cool. Very cool idea. I mean, the whole breast milk thing is kind of yeesh to me, but you know, commemorative jewelry. What do they call that? Memorial jewelry. Memorial jewelry. I guess is a big thing. I never realized.
With opal.
Yeah, we have a customer who's making. Which he's doing a bunch of custom stuff with us, but his basic, premise. His whole company is he makes memorial jewelry. You can send him some of your ashes of your dog or
Pet.
your whatever pet, I think, or I guess people too. And he'll mix that with some crushed opal and resin and make cabochons out of it. They're kind of beautiful, actually. And then set those into jewelry. Okay. Anyway, neither here nor there. You can do that with these kind of things. Actually, any of the ones that have a sealed back like this, sealed bezel, you can easily do that with. This one, I just picked that first because it's one of my favorites. I don't know. I kind of like that classic, I don't know, almost Victorian looking sort of design motif style. I'm so bad. I'm sure that people are like, "What, Mark? That's blah blah blah. That's not Victorian." But give me a break. I know how things are made. I don't know what they're called. This one, MTP 651. The retail price is $24.80, and the wholesale. Oh, you know what?
The price check.
These are not. Yeah, I should probably. I'm not going to give prices for most of these things today. I'm just going to talk about them and things stuff because I probably should have mentioned this way at the beginning at the housekeeping thing. Silver is not always a volatile market, but lately it has been. Just in the past 2 months, like literally the past 2 months, the price of silver has gone up. About 50%, and that's not exaggeration. It's actually that. I think it was 6 months in the past 6 months because it was steady for a while, but in the past 6 months it was like 62% increase. So yes, the prices of all the pendants and the rings and all those things, and it's actually reflected on the website already, but we haven't had time to to remake all these labels. So if you see any prices, you'll see prices. You can probably add most of these pendants if you add about 30% to them. We've only raised the prices 30% because labor is more or less the same, but the price of the materials obviously has increased by crazy amounts. I try to read as much as I can about the silver market or precious metals market, so silver and gold. And there's a lot of talk about how the ratio between the price of silver and gold is wrong now. I don't know how much I believe in that tying gold and silver together as though they should always be exactly the same. They do it by multiples of silver, and gold has to be 75 times the price of silver or whatever it is. And I'm not sure that I buy that whole thing. I just I do feel that there's some obviously commodities markets. I don't want to get too technical here in this live stream of jewelry supplies program here. But commodities markets are all messed up a little bit because of the pandemic and international trade, and basically everybody, coming home to roost. Um, and silver's just gone up. That's the kind of the end result. We can talk about all day long about all the issues around that and the reasons why. But I don't think, and I hate to even say this because you can never know. I don't think it's going to get a lot higher, but I do think it is going to get higher still. Um, I think we're okay. I don't know how much of a cushion marble has put in with the silver prices, but I think we're okay if silver goes up a little bit without raising the prices, too much more. Anyway, so again, forgive me. I'm not going to read out the prices because they're going to be wrong, and I can't do the math in my head as quickly as I want to be able to say 24.80. The new price is $31, something like that, off the top of my head. But anyway, I'm not going to do it. But the prices that you see, just beware that the those are about 30% less than the new prices. And sorry, but that's just the nature of the beast. When you're making stuff out of precious metals, you always have to worry about that kind of stuff. Uh, for years and years, taught workshops in jewelry fabrication, and it was always an issue. We always had like a kit fee that you would have, you know, $25 or $35 for the materials for the class on top of the class fee. And, we would print brochures at the beginning of the quarter. And, by the time the end of the quarter came around, if the price was, so much higher, nothing you can do. You just have to go with it. Anyway, neither here nor there. Golly, I've gone 26 minutes already, and I'm only on my first pendant. So I just love this pendant. You can get pendants a bunch of different ways. I'm going to show you some of the more over-the-top ones. Just look at that. That's awesome. Right? That lovely kind of cubic zirconia. I don't know if they're ribbons or thing going around. But just imagine, a pearl inside that with the edges of the flower, around the outside of that, around the outside of the pearl. God, these things are just works of art. Um, Here's another one that's kind of similar, but a lot more cubic zirconias. Just gorgeous, right? I mean, that's a statement piece, right? That's no matter what size of a pearl you put in there, somebody's eyes are going to be drawn to that, and they're going to, see that from a mile away. Yeah. Now, something like this, you can get away with a pearl as small as like I don't know, 6 millimeters, kind of thing, all the way up to completely covering that flower. You can get it probably, man, 14 millimeters, maybe 14, 16 millimeter pearl on there. And the bottom of the peg that the post gets, that the pearl gets glued onto, is down on the bottom of that pendant. So you don't have to worry about so much about. Sometimes when you set pendants and the stone is really heavy. And you must have noticed this. It's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes they lean forward a little bit, kind of thing. Which it's fine when it's sitting, straight against your chest. But if it's just dangling, it leans forward a little bit, thing, and that alleviates that, quite a bit. Um, so we've got tons and tons. Gosh, I think like 7 or 8 trays of these. 3, 6, and there's like 24 pendants in a tray. So, oh, look at that. Oh. Right, a lovely rococo, elements, you know, beautiful, what would you call that? Not really a teardrop. Um, it's not really a cat's eye either. The whole shape of
Like a
that
peach shape.
peach,
Yeah.
peach. Okay, peach shape. Uh, with the cubic zirconias in there. You know, I'm a fan of the cubic zirconias, and I just think they add tons of sparkle and what I call credibility. I don't know why. Stuff. There's a couple. I'll show you. This one is a classic, you know, clamshell, right? With that post on there, MTP027. I love this. I think this is just, you know, perfect, classic. And the only thing that could be better than that is something more with more bling on it, because if there's cubic zirconias, I love it. But it's articulated so that the, you know, the clamshell opens up and the pearl on the inside. You know, I think this is just one of the most clever, um, you know, pendants we have. Uh, you know, it's the kind of thing that I don't know. It's not always visible to everybody who looks at it, but the people you want to be able to look at it, you know, you can. MTP 697 is the SKU for that, and yeah, just I'm a big fan of things that are articulated. I think, you know, a lot more labor involved in doing this thing. You know, it's not just a function of, you know, casting it and calling it a day. It'd be nice if I could actually see what I'm doing here. Um, but can you focus on that camera? Come on. You can do it. I just love that. Anyway, clamshells. We've got from that, got some floral ones. This is a really gorgeous, you know, very three-dimensional looking thing. These flat, you know, curlicues that make a flower. It's almost like something. I mean, I kind of like this because it's something that I would make, I would fabricate if I were doing it. I would, you know, it would take me, you know, 5 or 6 hours to make it. But it's one of those things that the more needlessly complex it is, and this is one of those things that if you're fabricating it would, yeah, it would be needlessly complex to make this. But we can cast this for you. It's already made with that lovely. I just love the three dimensionality of the, you know, the petals on the edges. I don't know if you could see that. How, um, I don't know how cool that is. And that's you're looking. It's probably only around the new price, around $20. Uh, if you're looking for bling, uh, we got you covered. Again, this lovely kind of a twisted teardrop, you know, shape with the pearl in the middle. The pave style cubic zirconias all the way around. Boy, you snap a pearl in that. That's like Tiffany jewelry, right? Um, so many of these pearl settings, and again, I'm going to call them pearl settings, but you could use them for stones or whatever. Again, but so many of these pearl settings are so I don't know, elegant and classic, um, and they kind of defy. Um, I don't know, like they don't really have an age. Not like, oh yeah, that's like a good, you know, granny looking thing. You know, there's not really the one demographic that these pendants will fit. You know, it's they're all, you know, contemporary and new, but they're also, you know, kind of classic. I love this um, peacock. I guess it's a stylized peacock, a stylized bird. Um, Phoenix maybe. Cubic zirconias and the tail feathers. God, I just love that. On that same kind of vein, that doesn't go there. We've got this uh, owl that, you know, if you've got a teardrop pearl, right? You can put the big teardrop down on the bottom, where you put the, the pointy end up into the head, teardrop down to the bottom, and then these wings close over the pearl to hold it in place. Again, it doesn't have cubic zirconias, but it's got lovely granulation texture. I think it's got some cubic zirconias for the eyeballs. But that's just a stellar piece. Just gorgeous. So if you've got your owl types out there, people love owls. People love all kinds of things. Oh, code number, right? I haven't been given the code numbers. MTP 296 is the code of that. I just love that owl. I have more animals.
I think the new settings.
There are some new ones. I was going to save those for the end, though. There's a couple of new ones that are very cool. And where? I think that's in the bales. Pendants. So these are all pendants, right? Again, God, look at that. Gorgeous flower thing. All the cubic zirconias in there, in the outside of the petals, and then the little pistils. What are those? Is those pistils? Is that what it's called? Obviously the post longer than you need it to be, so you can snip it down so it's just the right size. Again, this, you could probably put a pearl anything from 6 millimeters probably all the way up to 10 millimeters without too much stress difficulty. That MTP 116 is the SKU of that one. Just killer. Again, if you like that kind of thing, more classic things. And I like this because it's, it's got a basket, which normally you associate with, cut stones to make the pavilion not be able to scratch into your chest. On this one, which, again, is just a gorgeous, shape. I love those, curly Q elements, a little bit almost Rococo sort of elements. This is so that the setting for the pearl can sit all the way down on the bottom of it. So it's almost like it'll almost be kind of like a hemispherical look to it, to the outside of it. So it's almost like a bullet. Instead of a lot of these, the pearl is so forward that it's obviously a pearl, whereas something like this, the stone of the pearl, maybe sitting a little bit further down in the setting, so it's not as visible. So if you have a pearl where they weren't as careful drilling the holes, and there's a little bit of damage where the drill bit goes into the stone or the pearl, a setting like this is ideal for that kind of thing because it'll totally hide that, that damage. I think. Yes, we've got some very cool. Much more simple, but the same idea. How the pearls sit very deep, down inside there. That MTP 460. No cubic zirconias in this one, but it's just a lovely. Golly, I know it's kind of a floral, thing, and that 5-petal flower like that is I can't remember the name of it. But you see it a lot on flags, which is weird. It's neither here nor there. Here's another lovely leafy-inspired thing, right? Very cool texture on the leaves. There's a cubic zirconia there on the stem. A little pearl on that. Probably 8 millimeters would be perfect for this, but you could definitely get away with something smaller, like a 6 millimeter, or maybe even a little bit bigger, 10 millimeter. You have to be careful that the edge of the pearl doesn't sit too far up from the base of the setting, because the more contact the pearl has with the post inside the hole, the better, obviously. There's just so many. I'm not going to go too much further with the pendants here, but there's just so many, literally hundreds. Things. Okay. MTP 187, gorgeous, very three-dimensional floral. Um, I don't know, curly, wavy motif thing. The thing I like a lot about these pearl settings that you don't see a lot in the pendant settings is the three-dimensionality. Like in most of the pendant settings, they're designed to be more or less flat-ish, and they allow the stone, whether it's a cabochon or a cut stone, to be the star of the show. On these pendants, because pearls are kind of obvious, they're pearl is a pearl. There's lots of different, shapes. There's rounds, baroque pearls, whatever, and lots of different finishes. You've got that lovely dark oil slick looking sort of Tahitian, pearls. All so many different shades of cream and white and you get different irradiated pearls in all kinds of crazy colors, and greens and reds and yellows, all kinds of stuff. But the pearl is a pearl, right? It's not thing. And these settings definitely showcase the pearl, but they're works of art in themselves. It doesn't really matter if you put the most plain pearl imaginable in there; they'll still jump out. As a, um, Rings. Oh my gosh. Golly, I'm already 41 minutes in, so I'm not gonna. I think I might pull one or two of these rings out. But look at these rings. Let me get way back here. Uh, so many rings. So many pearl setting rings. Oh my god. Don't know where to start. I'm just gonna. Oh, here that very first pendant that I showed you, right? Here's like it's an identical setting, but it's in a ring. So, golly, that would be good as a set. Make a pendant and a ring, or as wedding jewelry. Can I focus that? I just love that. I think that's one of my favorite patterns. That the code number of this is MTR319. And off the top of my head, I'm not sure what sizes it comes into, but probably something like 6, 7, 8, 9, being all the sizes it comes in. Here's one with gorgeous flower. Lots of CZ baguettes that are set into the petals of that thing, and that God, look at that! You could stick a huge pearl in there. That man, 18 millimeters, maybe 14, 15, 16, something big like that, giant. MTR 360 is the code number for that one. Get one or two more. This one, right? This is great. Ooh, it's bent. Doink, doink, make it straight. So this gorgeous setting, the edges of that, right? These edges, theoretically, you could probably push those in a millimeter or two to adjust the setting for the size of your pearl. But again, this for a pretty good sized pearl, you're looking, probably minimum 10 millimeters all the way up to 14 or 16 millimeters, right? Just a classic one. The edges, of the shoulder here, they'll help keep the pearl, from jumping off, getting busted off. Here's a gorgeous little delicate, thing with it's a cute little band. I don't know, it's not going to be able to focus on this. Cute little band with a bunch of cubic zirconias, and some other sort of granulation effects on the edges. With the seat at the top, boy, put a 4mm, maybe a 6mm pearl on there. That could be like an alternate engagement ring sort of thing, very easily. Although you'd probably get in trouble for it not being in gold, depending on your girlfriend or boyfriend. MTR 123. I don't see many men wearing pearl rings or pearl things. I'm going to show you one or two more that are just over the top, like this. Look at all the cubic zirconias in there. That's like practically a Liberace, ring. But I can imagine a great big pearl in there, a big like 12, 14mm pearl in there. This is, I always used to say, not the kind of thing that you wear to the grocery store. Although, well, these days, I don't know why you wouldn't. Definitely. That's for an evening out at the opera. MTR 327 is the code for that, so go look that up. The new prices are all up on the website. And I'm just going to end my little thing about the rings with this, which I think is just one of my favorite rings, which is weird because it's not, there's no cubic zirconias. It's just a lovely, very three-dimensional flower, right, with that pearl down on the bottom. Probably a 4mm, 6mm pearl maybe down on the bottom of that. So classic, so gorgeous. And again, that, man, there's not like an age, that you look at that and think, well, yeah, that's a grandma ring, or that's a little girl's ring. I mean, not anybody can wear that. I probably wouldn't wear it because I don't have any rings. MTR 088 is your code number for that. Just love that. That's the kind of thing that I would, fabricate if I were sitting down and just making stuff. Figure out how to do those twists. And that, again, that's maybe one more. Here's this MTR 318. Couldn't get out without going for the cubic zirconias. That lovely spiral shape. Again, very three-dimensional. Definitely showcasing the pearl in the middle with some just incredible bling on that. Boy, our designers are not kidding. They're awesome. Now, as far as other things, bales, whatnot, pearl setting, of course, you're not just limited to setting them on a pendant or a ring. You might just want to, instead of having, a big showcase pendant like the ones that I've showed you, and I tend to be, I tend to like a lot more of the, the bigger, crazier things. But we've got a bunch of, in the bales section of our catalog, we have a bunch of settings for pearls. Right, just like a plain classic bale with a cap on there and a cup and peg setting. Right, it's a classic bale, that LJ934. You have other ones, right? Lovely classic, bead cap with that post on there, right, for gluing. MTP668 is the code number of that. And I'm not going to go too far into this, but we've got tons and tons of these kind of bales. Let me show you that, right? Look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous. With the lovely flourish bale and that big cap. Gorgeous cap. And the peg inside. I don't know if you can see the peg inside there. MTP723 is the code of that. This, probably for like a teardrop pearl, or depending on the shape, some Baroque pearls you might be able to drill lengthwise, or drill through the top and glue that into there. But I mean, that's instant pendant, right? Um, it can't go too far without looking for more bling. These, kind of like a stepped layer cake, kind of, I guess, sort of effect, or like a stacking rondelle. I think is probably more appropriate. It doesn't really look like a layer cake, but the cubic zirconia is all the way around that cap, with the lovely, simple bail with the cubic zirconias in the top of that, and the cup and peg. LJ653 is the code number for that. I just love how instantly awesome anything is. You can get a pearl that's kind of ugly. You stick it onto one of these things, and boom, it's instant. It's gorgeous. Here's a very cool. It's a tube, right? So it's a tube bead, right? You'd string whatever through that, and there's that cup and peg thing soldered to the bottom of that. LJ278 is the code number for that. Boy, I can think of tons of ways to use that. Again, always has the centerpiece. You could probably use it somewhere on the side. It would look weird, but who am I to judge? I always like to tell people, once you buy it, I don't care what you do with it. And then we've got a couple of different sizes of these, different, size permutations of things. These is just a simple bail with a loop and a little tiny cup and peg, to string that on there. So something like this is obviously where you just want to showcase the pearl or the stone. It's like there's no pretense, there's no bling, there's no thing. It's like, look at my pearl. This is what you're looking at. LJ916 is that, and obviously you can look these up. We've got a bunch of other ones. Here's a little bit tinier one. LJ950. And this one, I don't know why customers like this a lot more. I think maybe because the bail is a little more domed, and the other ones, the bails are flat. But we sell tons of those. Here's one. I'm going to actually pull one out of the bag and show you, because start with it open, right? So this is a bail for I don't know, necklace enhancer, necklace things, with a cup and a peg, on the bottom of that as a dangle, right? So again, it's mostly showcasing the pearl or the stone or thing, whatever you put on there. But if you have a necklace that's endless, you can easily take this off, snap that on, put that on, snap that closed, doink, and there you go. And easily remove it and put it on something else if you want. So you never have to go anywhere without your pearl. Got a couple of other. Oh, this one. This one is great. I love this. Nice, big, gorgeous bail. That and that's a really wide bail. You could put. I don't think there's any chain we sell, well, maybe one or two, but probably 6 millimeters, the size of that bail. So if you've got some, super heavy cord or something, you can, definitely use one of those on there. LJ990 is the code number of that. Wrong. Here's another cap sort of thing, right? Sort of a snowflake, cap with the cup and peg on there. Cubic zirconia is all the way through there. LJ988 is the skew of that. And then it's just, obviously so many others of these kind of things. Here's a great big tube bail, right? It has cubic zirconias all the way around the middle, and then those S elements all the way around the sides. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't see that. It's not going to focus. I think that's as close as I can get. LJ996 is the skew of that. you know, and that's also just really versatile. Um, Here's another one where I'll just leave it on the card, where the element itself is the bail, right? You can string whatever through that. That's a horseshoe with cubic zirconias going all the way around. And again, the horseshoe, right? Little dangles, cup and peg. The horseshoe is facing the right way, the correct way. Because if the horseshoe is facing upside down, right, then all the luck runs out, right? That's why you always see that whenever you see horseshoes hanging over a door or something in a saloon, the the you know the tongs, the prongs are always pointing up, so it keeps the luck inside. I don't make up these
Could be.
stories. These are just uh, okay. Yeah, here's one that uh, it's pretty recent. I think it was one of the maybe the penultimate uh, shipment that we got in. Lovely little butterfly bale with a bunch of cubic zirconias in there. You know, different colors, some kind of a ruby, some emeralds looking stones. Just gorgeous, gorgeous. Gosh, 55 minutes in. I don't know. I'm skipping along. Maybe too quickly. Uh, oh, did want to show you this. This one, we've got a setting that a pendant that at the bottom of this there's a seat and prongs for a 10 millimeter cabochon, but I just love this, and I'm gonna get in trouble again. Call it the wrong kind of a cat. Panther, cougar, not a cougar. It's panther to me. Green eyes. Um, right, those emeralds and the cubic zirconias all the way around. That's that pave style. Just I just love that. The crazier the better, I think, when it comes to those kind of things. Um, Earrings. I'm just going to back this up again so you can see. Oh, we have so many earrings. And I'm just going to show you a couple of representative samples because um, I'm getting close to the hour, quote unquote, time limit. This, I just love this, right? So here's the, your post, for cut to whatever size. And then here's just a simple-ish kind of ear wire that, will it focus? Focus? No. Um, it almost looks like like a musical note, you know. Um, but big ear wires are in. That's like a fashion thing. And having said that, oh, somebody else, I'll talk about that later. Wanted to know about hoops. Hoops. Right, so ear wire with a lovely heart and that thing dangling in the middle with a little cup and peg. Um, it's hard to make this stand straight so it doesn't look crooked. But imagine just stick a pearl in there and that, well, you can't go wrong. Love that one. Um, Same as the pendants. We've got lots of these kind of blingy sort of. You can't go wrong with the cubic zirconias. That's a good probably 10, 12 millimeter pearl in there. If you've got a pair, that ES104. I didn't give the SKU numbers for the other ones. That's okay. Look them up. There's so many. Love those snowflakes with all the cubic zirconias in there. Maybe I should open that up and you'll see better. Can you see that better? These posts, dangle a little pearl or a stone on the bottom of that. It's just instant credibility. Especially if you're me and or if you're like me and you like that, that bling, kind of thing. There's another kind of variation on that same thing, only with diamond shaped or triangle, or not triangles, but rhombus shapes with some other little components in the bottom of that to dangle off. Again, these are posts. Here's another ear wire. This is always kind of tricky to show you because of the angle of this, but right, so the front, after the part that goes in your ear, the cap has all kinds of cubic zirconias in there, and the back is nice and smooth. Pearl, probably 6mm pearl would be perfect in there, 6mm stone. That one is EW674, 8mm it says. How about another big, kidney wire shape thing, right? So this is the ear wire that goes in, and then the pearl just stuck to the bottom of that. So this, would present itself. The ear is all the way up here, so it's got it's kind of like a dangle, but not a dangle that moves a lot. Just almost post-industrial, very gorgeous. We've got dangles with chains, right? So that I don't know what you'd call that shape at the top, kind of like a big long oval. There's a post in there that goes through your ear, and then a little length of chain, maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. ES112 is your total on that. Okay. Now this, just on its own, is one of my favorite ear wires, right? So that great big gorgeous ear wire with just a little component with a cubic zirconia in there, and then a cap with a cup and peg on that. This is just so classic. I don't know how else to call it, right? The ear wire, presents itself something like this, right? Where all of that comes out of the edge of your ear, hangs down. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of big ear wires. Always have been. Right, here's another kind of interesting version of that. Right, nice big ear wire. Or, how about that? Right, so that tucks under the ear, right, like this, and then the pearl or thing just hangs from the bottom of that. So, you'd see all this, coming out the back, but out the front is just a very cool, swoopy shape. And this might even ultimately tuck under the earlobe, I guess, depending on how far away from the edge of your earlobe the hole is. Here's one that's a variation on that ring that I love so much, a very three-dimensional thing. It's probably almost exactly the same component, only shrunk down a little bit and used as earrings instead of... Right, another one with just a very simple flower, three-dimensional flower looking thing. Gone over. Here. Oh. Right. Totally missed these. And these are right, bracelets, component bracelets. I don't know if you can see that. So there's this kind of S component with a very cool thing, and then there's a flower post with that. So it's almost like a tennis bracelet kind of concept. Only you can set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pearls in there or stones in there. If you can see those. That's very cool. CF 011 is the SKU of that. The nice thing about these is that, they're self-contained. Obviously the clasp is already done. And then you've got this length of chain. So when you string your clasp on there, you can string it onto any of these loops. It's totally adjustable. So you can have a bracelet that's, anywhere from 6 inches long all the way up to 9 inches long, depending on the size of your wrist. Here's another one, same idea. These lovely butterflies, right? Stylized kind of butterflies with these cup and pegs in between, and the links near the ends. Oh, they're hearts. Look at how cute that is. Oh my God. And the same idea with that, couple of inches of extender chain, so you can have that, be whatever length you like. CF014 is your total. And I bet most people don't even know that we have these bracelets. We don't really show them at shows that I can remember seeing them, there. But they're here in the showroom. The last thing I'm going to show you, these are like brand new, literally just pulled out of the box, and I just love this fox pendant, right, with all the cubic zirconias on the thing, and the little cup and peg, right, with the tail wrapped around. MTP1266 is your code for that. And you could probably put anywhere from a 4mm to maybe a 6mm. You could get a 6mm in there. That size of the mounting is 5mm wide, so you could definitely get away with like a millimeter smaller or a little millimeter bigger. Again, very three-dimensional. Just love those things. And I'm going to save that one for last because that one is my favorite. This is a bumblebee pendant, right, where the cup and peg is the head and the eyeballs in front of it. Thing again, just string a pearl or glue a pearl into there, and you're all set. Love that. Here's another one, a little more blingy. MTP1268. I didn't give the SKU the other ones. Sorry. Again, blingy, very teardroppy, but I don't know, you can string a pearl in there. And then my favorite of the new ones is this. I love this little dragon pendant with that flower peg, cup and peg in there, right? And you could put, I don't know, anything, probably 6mm up to, golly, you could probably even put a 10mm in there. Again, the setting is designed for 8mm, but it's not super deep, so you could probably get away with a millimeter or two at either side of that. And I just love that. Probably, I don't know why, I'm a sucker for dragons. And that's so that I'm going to stop here, kind of. I've only gone 7 minutes over this time. I'm getting better. At least we're not 20 minutes over. Although I haven't ended yet. Ending takes me a while. So we might be a little bit more over, but not too much. Next week, we're going to showcase some charms and connectors. Maybe both. Definitely charms. If we have time, we'll do connectors. But again, I tend to go on and on. And when we say charms, we're talking about anything, as simple as this lovely little, lotus blossom, charm. Just, very cute, very, I don't know, usual every day, all the way up to something, crazy like this guy. I just love how he's articulated. Oh, that makes me so happy. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. I just love this. It's one of my favorite pieces that we've ever made. But But again, that's next week, next Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. till hopefully not too much longer than an hour. If you've stayed here the whole time, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of stuff to look at, and just look in the in the menu section of the website, Pearl settings under settings, and go from there. Obviously, there's a lot more than what I showcased today, and some of what I showcased may not be your taste, but I guarantee you, if you're looking for a setting for a pearl, we do have something that is in your taste. So until next week, thanks for watching. Again, please share the video if you like, and we'll send you one of these polishing cloths. And we will see you next week, the SilviaFindings live stream Wednesday morning event thing. Okay, thanks. Good morning. Good night. Bye. We're done. We're out.